Risk assets are selling off today on Wednesday. Gareth Soloway, chief market strategist at InTheMoneyStocks.com, is back to break down what's going on. Gareth, stocks are down, crypto's down, Bitcoin's down like 20% overnight. Now, you were on just a week ago, and you were calling for Bitcoin to retrace back to $30,000 a week ago. It was trading at around $50,000, close to $50,000, and people were calling you crazy for that. We'll take a listen to this clip from last week.
I still expect the neckline of this head and shoulders to break and at least to move down to 30,000 and then potentially all the way down to 20.
All right, Gareth, so not so crazy anymore. Bitcoin's what, $32,000, 33 on the screen? It's moving up and down every minute.
Yeah, I mean, it is a monstrous fall. It actually hit my exact target of 30,000 to the penny, which is very cool. You can see it pierced the 200 moving average down here. Last week when I was on, we talked about this head and shoulder pattern. Here's your neckline, shoulder, head and shoulder. And if you drop a plumb line from the high pivot of 65,000 to this line, and you do a measured move from this breakpoint, that gives you that target. That's basically how I came up with that target. It also coincided with the 200 moving average in this little area right down here of support. So that was how I came up with that alert. To me, the signals were all here. We're seeing deleveraging start more and more. I think the Archegos Capital collapse that happened a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, was the beginning of deleveraging. Tax hikes on corporations, all these things are going to bring the PE ratios back in line in the stock market. And basically, you had this overcrowded trade in crypto that had to unwind. People called me crazy, like you said, but if you look historically, Bitcoin is normally, it's normal to have a 50% correction every couple years in Bitcoin for sure.
We've got, let's talk about Bitcoin first, and we'll move on to the broad equities markets here. We've got a few items on the docket from last week, all the way from Musk tweeting. We talked about that last time to recently, a day and a half ago, the Chinese central bank has announced that they're restricting Bitcoin from being used in financial trades from institutions. So basically, they're adding on another layer of the ban. And, I spoke to somebody about this, and he speculated this is because they don't want Bitcoin to compete with the digital yuan that's set to be rolled out soon. But anyway, all that to say is that Bitcoin has seen a lot of headwinds and obstacles in the last 48 hours to 72 hours. So how much of this decline was purely technical is my question, or did we just have a few shocks? Boom, hit the market.
So that's a great question. People always ask, well, are the technicals leading or does the news lead? And what I've always found is that it always coincides. So if you have a great bull flag on a stock, you may not know that all of a sudden this company is going to put out good earnings or good news in general, but it just coincides. It's the miracle of the charts. So that's exactly what it was, but it just happened to signal that there was this news in the pipeline. And you could argue that, did insiders know what was going to go on here? Were things like that going on? Maybe, I don't know. I'm not privy to that information, but it certainly coincides. Yeah, absolutely. So just briefly going to Bitcoin, I know a lot of people on Twitter were asking me, where is it going to go from here? I expect to bounce off this 30,000 target level that I gave last week. I think you get maybe as high as 40 to 43,000. And then I do expect another leg down to possibly 20,000 on Bitcoin. So I think a technical bounce here is, yeah.
That was the key. So sorry, I missed that. So you're expecting a bounce up. So we should be buying on the dip right now, or should we wait for, because last time I spoke to you, you said potentially once it breaches $30,000, it's on its way down to 20,000. So are we waiting for more dips, Gareth?
Yeah, so just on a technical basis, you hit the 200 moving average, you completed the head and shoulders. That's going to give a lift to Bitcoin over the next couple of weeks. So again, I think if we go back to the BTC US dollar chart here, you could see that, again, major support. You're already getting a bounce. You're back to 37,700. I think you go maybe back to this neckline here, which is around maybe as high as 45 to 47,000. And then that's going to be your resistance point. Then look for the next leg down to take you to about 20,000. The way I'm getting 20,000 is very simple here. Let me show this. Basically, you have the former level. Remember, in 2017, we had the high pivot just under 20,000. So basically, a retrace to that would just take us back to that level. I will be buying with all my hands at that point. I'll be buying with my feet, with my every part of my body at that point. I did pick up a little at 30,000 or just above 30,000. That was the level I gave you guys last week. But I will be looking to exit that once we get above 40,000.
Would you use margin?
Oh, man.
I don't use margin. Yeah.
Yeah, so just me personally, I don't use margin for crypto trading. I use it in swing trading a little bit, but it's really up to each individual. Just remember there are usually fees associated with it, so each person should make their own decision on that.